All right, friends, let's see if we can get this done quickly and easily today. We're going to talk about Penn State, Ohio State. I want to start off with this quote from Tom Luganbill, easy for me to say, from ESPN. He said, Penn State is the better team with better players at all of the spots except for one, wide receiver. He says that there are 10 to 12 NFL players on Penn State right now, several first rounders, and that there are 3 defensive front guys that, in his words, gobble you up. So, sounds scary to me. So, since we're talking about defense, both defenses seem to be for real. Penn State's is super aggressive. Ohio State's super aggressive last year, but those big plays hurt them by going cover zero. So they're much less aggressive this year, not going in cover zero this year. And it's going to be interesting to see the matchup of the game. In my opinion, is going to be Penn State's defensive line versus Ohio State's offensive line. Obviously, they're going to be blitzing from everywhere, so it's going to be more than just PSU's defensive line, but that's going to be the matchup. So it's going to be something to watch. Can Ohio State hold them back? If not, I don't know how Ohio State's going to score and have a chance, but we'll find out. Obviously, that's why they play the games, as they say. So the weakness, from what I'm understanding, is that their defensive line up the middle might be their weakness. So if Ohio State can shoot some quick shots up the middle with their running backs, then maybe they can get them. Another thing that's kind of underrated that I've seen a couple things and a couple people talk about was tackling. I guess Penn State isn't the most efficient tackling team. They have people flying everywhere in every direction. You don't want to go side to side on them because they're super quick, super fast, super big, super long. But I guess they miss tackles percentage-wise compared to the rest of the country. So Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator for PSU, has basically said that he has Ohio State's offense figured out. So in the end, we'll find out, of course. On the other side, I would say watch out for Ohio State's defensive tackles and obviously JT Tuomilau, however you say his name. Sorry, I messed that one up. Tuimoloau. I guess Penn State's offensive line is good. Obviously, their left tackle is projected to be a first-round pick. But is the rest of their O-line good? That's what Ohio State's going to try to find out. Will they match up? Will Ohio State match up JT against their left tackle, or will they bring him to the other side? The smart money, in my opinion, would be to bring him to the other side and have him challenge him because you would think Ohio State would want him to be a game wrecker again like he was last year. But Ohio State's defensive tackles, Mike Hall and Mr. Williams over there, should be game wreckers if the middle of PSU's line isn't that good. They're playing their left tackle, or their left guard is a third-string left guard. So Ohio State is going to hope to take advantage of that, of course. So, but beyond that, Ohio State's linebackers, if you've been following Ohio State, have not been playing as well this year as they were last year. When Ohio State media asks Jim Knowles, Ohio State defensive coordinator, about that, he says that he used the linebackers last year more as sledgehammers. That's his word for it. So they were always just shooting gaps, being super aggressive, and they were super effective that way. But this year, he says he's using their brains more, so they have to read and react more and cover more. So the question is, some people are asking, is Knowles going to turn Eichenberg into a sledgehammer again? Eichenberg obviously being the middle linebacker for Ohio State. Another question is injuries. We'll get to injuries, but will the secondary be able to step up, especially in the corners, especially if Denzel Burke, Ohio State's best secondary player, isn't playing on Saturday? So obviously we'll find out about that. On the offensive side of the ball, obviously we're going to start out with the quarterbacks as always. Kyle McCord has been playing well, but he's never faced a defense like he's about to face on Saturday. So this defense is better than Notre Dame's defense. Notre Dame is big, good, solid, but this defense is just different. Super aggressive, super fast, super quick. It's going to go crazy going after the quarterback, we're guessing. Drew Aller, obviously on the other side of the ball for Penn State. He's never played a defense like this either. He's also never played in a hostile environment like he's about to play in. So we'll see how he reacts to that. But something that I'm thinking is, will this Ohioan and Drew Aller end up being a thorn in OSU's side for the next 2-3 years? I'm imagining 2, unless he just wants to stay in college for a while. But we'll see. More from Ohio State on the offensive side of the ball. It seemed to have got the run game going last week against Purdue. Can they keep that going? But obviously we have lots of injuries, which we'll hit on that too. Tight ends, I think, will be a factor in this game after listening to everything that I've been listening to this week from both sides. Penn State likes their tight ends and uses them well. What does Ohio State have for them on the defensive side? Can they cover? Sonny Styles should be a tight end wrecker for Ohio State. He's just a freak of nature. You can't. Nobody's on the tight end side for Penn State is going to be bigger or faster than him. So we'll see how he handles that. On the other side, though, Penn State loves to blitz those linebackers. So that means that you should be able to hit Cade Stover for some over-the-top, underneath type of passes, right? Penn State's star linebacker, Abdul Carter, is more of a pass rusher than anything else, so we'll see. Again, kind of the question at the end when it comes to Penn State's offense, because they like to do everything underneath, it seems to. They're not really a big play offense, and that was a big deal last week with what their coach said and how all that kind of went viral, but question is Penn State playing possum? Are they doing all their underneath passing and just running for not huge gains, but for good solid gains? Are they saving it up? There are definitely some guys on both sides and from the national media who think that Penn State is just waiting to unleash everything they have on Ohio State. So that will be an interesting thing to see. Injuries. Don't really know of anything for Penn State. Penn State is 3 weeks to prepare for this game. They had an off week. They had UMass last week, and now they obviously have this week to prepare for Ohio State. So now's their chance, right? They have everything they need to just, you would think, to waylay Ohio State this year. So we'll see. Ohio State running backs, there's 3 of them that are hurt, right? Mayon Williams, Travion Henderson, and Chip Trainum got hurt last week against Purdue with a concussion. I listened to some guys who are really good when it comes to knowing the Ohio State injury situation. At least I've seen to get more information out of them and the best information out of them historically. They say that they seem to think that those 3 that I just mentioned all practiced yesterday for Ohio State. So they're thinking they're going to be okay. They don't know for sure, of course, but we'll see. When it comes to Ohio State's second-best receiver, who could be the second-best receiver in all of college football, Emeka Egbuka, seems to have been fully padded yesterday. Did he practice? They don't know for sure, but they say he was walking pretty gingerly out of practice on Wednesday. So nowhere near as well as Marvin Harrison was looking after he got hurt his ankle in basically the same way against Notre Dame. So we'll see. He's going to be a game-time decision, I think, based upon how well he can run on that ankle. And then Denzel Burke, talked about him earlier. He was totally MIA. Nobody saw him at practice yesterday, so nobody has any idea what his deal is. And he has the same injury as before. Just everybody seems to be rolling their ankles for Ohio State this year. We usually don't talk about special teams, but special teams could end up mattering in this game. It's obviously in the past. The one time Coach Franklin has beat Ohio State was basically because they blocked a field goal, right? So Penn State last week against UMass had 2 punt returns for touchdowns. And if you watch Ohio State enough, you can probably easily say that their punt cover team is probably the weakest of all their special teams units. So that could easily play a factor in the game. When it comes to field goal kickers, Ohio State seems pretty solid, but Penn State has already changed field goal kickers this year. The one they switched out for missed some field goals, so they brought in a new guy. The new guy has been solid so far, so we'll see if that stays. Lots of intangibles in this game, of course. The main question is, like, can James Franklin win the big game, right? Because this, like I said earlier, this is his chance. 3 weeks off to prepare for this team. And this is the team, as Tom Luganbill mentioned, that's supposed to be more talented than the Ohio State team. I mean, how many times have you been able to say that in the past? James Franklin is 3-15 against top 10 opponents, and he's 1-10 against top 5 opponents. So let's see if he can take advantage of this opportunity he has before him. I've heard lots of comparisons between Penn State of this year and Michigan of 2021. So if you're a Ohio State fan, obviously that's the year that David Ojabo and Mr. Hutchinson decided to destroy Ohio State's offensive line pretty much the whole game. So obviously Ohio State fans don't want to see anything like that, but it could happen. It's also, I've heard lots of comparison between the Ohio State and Notre Dame game of this year. So Notre Dame, they would say that the main difference between Notre Dame and Penn State is that Notre Dame has that more explosive. Estime is more of an explosive runner, has more yards per carry, and obviously quarterback Hartman for Notre Dame loves to throw the deep ball. Penn State pretty much hasn't even tried to throw any deep balls. And what's interesting is that's been Ohio State's strength this year, right? Ohio State's strength on defense last year was that their weakness was that they allowed the big play. Their strength this year is that they're not allowing the big play. Penn State isn't even trying for the big play. So that's a little interesting tidbit. But Notre Dame, Penn State, it's going to be, they think that it's going to be that type of game. Super close, not high scoring, defensive struggle. Not defensive struggling, but the defenses are making the offenses struggle. So we'll see. Penn State's going to use some clock, run the clock, short passes, just methodically march downfield. So pretty much what Notre Dame did against Ohio State. But Ohio State, once Notre Dame got close to the end zone, Ohio State was good at stopping them. Let's see if Ohio State can do that again if they want to win this game. So, yeah, more on the intangible side, but on the Ohio State side, they're looking for Ryan Day to be fiery again, just like he was for Notre Dame. Silly comments out there about Lou Holtz needs to say something about him, but I don't believe that. I think that I've been, like I said, watching tons of different things on this, and pretty much everybody is picking Penn State to win this game. So and there's no doubt that the players and the coaches of Ohio State are seeing that too. So the fact that people are saying that Penn State's just going to come in and beat Ohio State in their place, obviously you're going to be fired up for a game like this anyway, but that's going to take it over the top. So you're going to see fiery Ryan Day on the sidelines there tomorrow. I'm pretty sure on Saturday. So one thing I do want to bring up on the intangible side, though, is one year I heard Phil Steele being interviewed, and they were talking about the 2014 Ohio State-Wisconsin Big Ten championship game, and everybody was freaking out because JT Barrett was hurt, and they were going to bring in Cardale Jones, and nobody had ever seen Cardale Jones. That would have been his first start. And he said something very interesting. He called it something. I forget exactly what he called it, but basically what he was saying was that when an important player is injured in a game, the rest of the team tend to step up. So will that happen for Ohio State? If the defense sees probably their best player, their cornerback, Denzel Burke, out, will the defense step up in his place? If the offense sees their second-best receiver and maybe a running back or two out, will the offense step up in his place? Obviously, that happened massively in that Wisconsin 2014 game because Ohio State ended up beating them, I think, 59-0. Obviously, I'm not expecting anything like that to happen against PSU, but if they rise up and win and play kind of better than they've ever played before, from players who aren't expected to be that explosive of a player, then you never know. So we'll see. Also, another thing I'm hearing is, especially after that Notre Dame game, the people who follow Ohio State are saying that they're getting 2002 vibes. So that was the season that Ohio State beat Miami to win the national championship game. But there was kind of miracle game after miracle game, miracle play after miracle play. They should have lost to Cincinnati. They should have lost to Purdue. On and on. I've never heard people who cover Ohio State say that before until this year all of a sudden. So we're going to find out on Saturday, obviously. If Penn State beats Ohio State, then it's definitely not a 2002 type of season for Ohio State. So kind of wrap it up. Everybody is picking Penn State to win or at the very least cover the spread, but the spread is so low now. I think it's like maybe 3.5 now. I mean, you really don't pick a team to cover the spread in a spread that low. You're basically saying that you think that the team that you're picking to win is going to win. So basically nobody's picking Ohio State to win except for the Ohio State homers that never pick Ohio State to lose because they're afraid they're going to lose. People who watch them or listen to them if they do. So we'll find out. I think it's going to be a great low-scoring game, kind of like the guys have been saying when it comes to the Notre Dame game. So should be another epic thriller in the shoe on Saturday at noon. I hope it's a great one, just like the Notre Dame game was. Thanks for watching.